What experiences happened when you were young in your formative years that shape how you think, feel, and do money, how you approach your finances? Well, I'll share the 3 that stand out to me and how they impact your future financial decisions. That and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Why are you the way that you are with your finances? Are you a saver? And if so, is that rooted in something? Are you a spender? Is that rooted in something? Your decision on when to save and how much to save for retirement, where's the inspiration coming from, or what's that connected to? The drive to start a business or be entrepreneurial, what are those things connected to? And when you're doing comprehensive financial planning, looking at all 6 areas of your financial life, working with a CFP, someone that has been there before and has the expertise to see how these seemingly disconnected parts of your financial life are actually connected, it's going to be important that you know sort of the root and the why, because not because this needs to be touchy-feely, but because often that helps inform the where. Where are you going and what are you trying to accomplish? And so you'll make better financial decisions when you're in touch with that, with the root essence. But then even more importantly is if you're married, if you're a couple, understanding each other's roots and the sort of the foundational money view, we call it, or beliefs and things that shaped your beliefs on money, that will help you guys stay in sync and move together in a certain financial direction towards financial goals versus the tendency of, well, someone made a financial decision that seemingly started pulling this way, and therefore I'm going to counterbalance that and I'm going to pull this way, and all of a sudden you guys are pulling on 2 different ends of the sled. You're not able to make progress, right? So understanding your spouse's money view or where they're coming from financially can help you know where you're going and get there faster. So for me, there were if I were to make a list of some of the formative money experiences that really shaped who I am, I'll just share a few and then I'll tell you how you can take inventory yourself. And the first is not something that happened to me. Oftentimes when you're making this money inventory, it's gonna be experiences, but this first one is not. It's more of what was communicated to me early on. I remember it very early. Both my folks, obviously that raised me, when they were kids, they grew up in poverty. And it's not something they bragged about, but it was something that we were aware of because of, family and grandparents and all of that. And they weren't ashamed to talk about it. And they just said we had modest upbringing. We just didn't have money. And so Christmas, we didn't get anything and so on. And then they sort of connected that to the intentional hard work and getting jobs early and, dad getting a job right out of high school and going to college in the evening at night. Took them years and years to graduate and those sorts of things. Connecting those humble upbringings to the decisions that they've made was inspiring to me at a young age to say, I need to take financial responsibility and I need to take my finances seriously because I didn't grow up in poverty. And because my parents did and were able to make some financial decisions so that we were very much in a middle class experience, I wanted to make sure I was financially responsible. So that was very formative to my kind of financial upbringing. So that's one. Number 2, I remember this was late elementary school, but then happened again in middle school, where my father was at risk of losing his job. And so many of you will listen to this say, I remember when my dad lost his job. I remember when my mom lost her job and financially how that changed. And maybe you had to get a job when you were a teenager to help with the family finances. I was so fortunate that did not happen. But I remember these critical times, recessions or downturns in my father's industry, where it got so close to the edge where he had to communicate to the family, I might lose my job today. We're in layoffs and I might lose my job. And I remember being so scared, being so afraid, and how that shaped me as an adult. That stuck with me, obviously, but I want to have a safety net in place. That drove me to both have a budget and to put first things first, establish a firm financial foundation, emergency funds, and all of that, so that if that were the case financially, because I remember as a kid, are we going to lose the house? Are we going to be homeless? Like, what are the consequences of this? And so that certainly shaped my money view, my financial view growing up. And then the last thing I'll share that was very formative was in 7th grade. That's when I got my first allowance, if you will. I needed to do certain things, and in exchange for that, my parents were going to give me a couple $100s. Now, this wasn't like a weekly allowance. It was, hey, for the whole summer, you do this, and we'll give you a couple $100. And I remember when my brother and I both got that, my brother had already made the list of all the things that he wanted to buy. But my grandfather told me, hey, like, instead of going and spending this money, you should go get a CD. And this was at a time when there were CDs. And I said, that's a lot of music, Grandpa. And he said, no, I'll take you to the bank and you can put this money into an account that will earn interest to get a CD. And I don't even know why I said yes. How boring and dull would that sound as a 13-year-old? And yet for me, I don't even remember saying yes or whatever, but I can recall now sitting in an NBD bank with my grandpa, and we put the money into a CD. I don't even think my parents were there. I don't know how this all happened, but it was real, because here's what I remember. I then had this booklet that the bank gave me. It's very small. It's probably this big. And every month or quarter when I got my statement, I could pull out this booklet and I could write down, it was a ledger, it was a log of the date, my balance, how much interest I had earned, any additions or withdrawals, and then what the ending balance was. And I was so fascinated that just by not spending money, I could earn money. The fact that if I didn't spend it like my brother or like others, or like I wanted to, it could actually make money for me. I could have more money by not spending it. I was absolutely fixated by that. And sure enough, that was the foundational to me wanting, and becoming passionate about helping others with the same principle. So those were 3 of the very formative things that happened in my life that helped shape my money view. So what's yours? And in doing so, again, connecting it back to the why this is important is that helps shape my tendencies today. So when my wife early on in our marriage, not early on, but maybe 5-10 years in, said, hey, honey, we haven't taken a vacation in a couple of years. Do you think we should set some money aside for a vacation and actually, because all I want to do is save. All I want to do is save for that security and to earn more interest and all of that. And she helped ground me. And there are times when she's then wanted to do more spending and I've had to say, hey, we're not saving enough and so on. So understanding the why helps you get on the same page to move forward in the right direction. So how can you apply this? Well, one exercise is and it's not all encompassing and it doesn't need to be perfect. There's no pass fail, there's no grade, but just making a list of the money memories that really stand out to you, either from your upbringing or early on in adulthood, maybe even more recent if there's potent ones. But what experiences have you had with money that have really shaped your thinking? List those out and then plot them on a chronological chart. Well, when did this occur? And then draw a line through the middle of the paper, right through the middle. Plot it out when I was young, when I was older, but then put it higher on the page if it was a positive experience, put it lower on the page if it was a negative experience. And then once you see it visually that way, then what's it tell you? What's it tell you? Are there a cluster of negative things that happened when you were young and more positive recently? And what's that say? The things that were negative, are there lessons that you've applied so that you prevent those in the future or maybe receive the tuition, learning from it? The positives, how can you have more of those? Is there a theme there as well? So taking those experiences and making them real, making them tangible, then help you apply and grab the learning. That's an exercise you might want to do with your CFP or being in touch with your money view. That's something your CFP is going to help you with as they help craft where you want to go financially and how to get there. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.